Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another edition of the Duval Dive. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game of Fans First Sports Network, covering the Orlando Magic and, of course, Duval about your Jacksonville Jaguars. And I only mention the Magic in passing. We're not doing our normal Wednesday recording because the Boston Celtics will have the final home game for the Orlando Magic during the time we would normally do the stream. However, look out. We're going to have Jamal St. Cyr of News 4 Jax on for you Thursday night. So make sure you check that out. That event will be up on the socials and the YouTubes and all of the places there. So make sure you check out that stream. We're going to be doing our first triumvirate mock draft to kind of simulate the way that the Jaguars front office now has Tony Baselli, James Gladstone, and Liam Cohen as the coach. 3 heads potentially involved at the top of it involving the draft. Yes, of course, I'm not counting the owner, Shad Khan. The 3 of them report to him, obviously. Let's not ruin it too much with real life scenarios, but that's going to be a great time to check all that out. But the reason why I also mentioned the Jags' new triumvirate in question is that they are the first of many changes that have taken place this offseason. I write about some of the ones in-house on Fans First Sports Network that have changed the trajectory of how the Jacksonville Jaguars draft could go. Acquiring all the offensive linemen, acquiring new DBs, getting Trent Baalke out of the building. All of those were things that have contributed to the new direction of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I write about more precisely how things may go in the draft. But one thing I didn't focus on in that article that I will focus on here is external pieces. Listen, if you listened to Travis D. Holmes yesterday, as he dropped his piece about could you be an NFL GM, external factors and considering those sorts of things are part of your hunt. And there are a few things here that have taken place this offseason that have changed since mock drafts started dropping back in January. Now, for those that may remember, I first wrote about early mock drafts sending Abdul Carter to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And listen, so much has happened in the months since that seems completely off kilter, with no disrespect to Field Yates and Mel Kiper of ESPN making that first prediction. I'll even say December. I know I said January earlier, but December, I think they made mocks based on the first 20 or so picks, considering the teams that were eliminated just to that point. With, unfortunately for you, Duval Devout out there, the Jags were among those teams. But that particular piece, so much information has changed. And even since then, where a lot of 2.0s and even our own mock draft here on the Duval Dive had Mason Graham going at 5. Now, once again, I reiterate at this point that Travis and I would prefer to trade back 5th pick over getting Mason Graham for more bites at the apple before we start getting referred to as Mason Graham lovers and all this other stuff. But that is neither here nor there, because even more changes have taken place that have even altered that trajectory. And first of these that has to be listed up front that I think made the impact early is Myles Garrett with the Browns. He is his movement and interaction with the Browns this offseason may offer the Jaguars, and as you see here in this picture, Trevor Lawrence, a helping hand, considering how I believe it was week 2 went in Jacksonville against the Browns. Let's just say the Jags could use something good from the Browns in exchange. But that whole Myles Garrett scenario altered the direction of a lot of things, right? The assumption was that they would get Shedeur Sanders there. And then once Myles Garrett started to converse with them about changing his deal, Abdul Carter became the conversation. Well, then Myles Garrett signed, and now Abdul Carter is loosely a long shot, but he's still in the conversation. But another piece, ironically, involving Cleveland Browns and their roster changes. The Cleveland Browns are coming up entirely too much here for a Jacksonville Jaguar podcast, but here we are, folks. But the next piece, though, involved another Cleveland Brown and, well, a former Steeler. For those who haven't been living under a rock, you probably already know I'm referring to Russell Carrington Wilson and, of course, Jameis Winston. Now, Those two getting involved altered things remarkably and dramatically. And the way a lot of things seem to be looking is that Shedeur Sanders will be picked by the Browns because those two guys went to New York, right? The popular scuttlebutt being that New York getting those two quarterbacks understands that the Browns are looking very closely at Shedeur Sanders to be their draft pick at quarterback. And it's even been mentioned at this point that the Tennessee Titans have canceled their workouts with both Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. I guess at this point, it's almost as a grace period kind of thing, as if to say that Cam Ward is going to be pretty much guaranteed to be the top overall pick. If there's some sort of 5D chess that means that they are drafting Shedeur and Cam Ward is still on the board, that's fine. Most assuredly, the assumption could probably be made that Cam Ward would be taken by either the Browns or the Giants. But then again, the Giants getting those quarterbacks, would they take Cam Ward at this point? I don't know. With Abdul Carter now being regarded and getting popularity in the current headlines as the best player in the draft, it's hard to envision New York getting anybody other than him. They may get Travis Hunter. That's possible. But the smart money has been Abdul Carter. But in a twist of fate and a whole lot of irony, another team impacts the Jacksonville Jaguars trade direction. Now, when I say the Tennessee Titans, obviously they were going to determine the Jacksonville Jaguars draft direction and what may fall to them at number 5 overall, simply because they're the top overall pick. But since it's inevitable they're getting a quarterback, how much can the Titans really impact the Jags? If anything, they only have a positive impact because the Titans are going to attack the one position in the first round with the first overall pick that the Jags don't need, which of course is quarterback, because the Jags are committed to Trevor Lawrence. Liam Cohen has said that since moment one, and it's been reiterated by both James Gladstone and Tony Baselli. But then how are the Titans still relevant? Well, in a move made a while back, the fate at the 4th overall pick is what's in session here. That's right. By removing Mike Vrabel previously as their head coach and having him on the market this offseason to replace Gerard Mayo after that failed experiment, Mike Vrabel being at the 4th overall pick changes a lot of things in my mind. For one, I think Gerard Mayo as the Pats head coach would be more inclined to pick a Travis Hunter. For me, especially after getting guys in free agency that he has at receiver, most recently overpaying wildly for Stephon Diggs, tells me the last thing he's trying to do is get a Travis Hunter type, a dual threat asset, especially for a player that has been very, vocal about wanting to play both sides of the ball. With those acquisitions, it's not really something I expect to see in him getting a lot of playing time out there, especially with a guy of Vrabel's style to add to that offense. I just don't see it happening. So Mike Vrabel being another element of things that have changed the Jaguars draft fate. I know there was a day in the past where I said that Travis Hunter is outright impossible to fall to the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's going to have to be a lot of things that happen on draft day that would be amazing for that to occur. Well, where I might have miscalculated is the occurrences weren't on draft day that took place to make Travis Hunter more realistic. And these are all based off of these external factors that have taken place to put the Jags in a position where Travis Hunter might fall to them. Here's what I will pontificate and predict possibly. And you can argue with me, throw it at me in the comments, tell me how wrong you think I am or how genius you might think I am. But I think at this point, the front office would be wise to pick up the phone immediately the moment either the Giants or, I don't think it'll be the Browns, but if it is them, it's still true there. But the Giants or the Patriots, the moment they select Travis Hunter, that phone's getting picked up to do business somewhere already back. maybe there the chance of light conversations being had. Hey, if Hunter's off the board, we're going to call you on draft day. Those sorts of, shall we say, setup questions may exist. But at day's end, I expect a lot of things to look different, and maybe Mason Graham isn't as inevitable as we all thought at the 5th overall pick. But then again, what do I know? It's just my opinion. I am only a student of the game. I could be wrong. So that is my brief synopsis is what has changed on the timeline in the past few months here in the offseason to make the draft outlook different for the Jacksonville Jaguars at 5th overall. This has been an incredibly fun process. Hey, make sure you jump in Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern for the triumvirate draft with, we're going to do better than triumvirate draft with a name, but hey, all you need to know is we're going to do some mock action with Jamal St. Cyr of News 4 Jax. That'll make it fun. So make sure you check that out Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. That'll be a lot of fun. Travis D. Holmes will be in the building as well for that. It'll be a fun time. Check in for that. So for my personal champion, Travis D. Holmes, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game, Fans First Sports Network. And until next time, everyone, class dismissed.